to the Della Fit Podcasts. 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health, all in one podcast.
Salutations and proclamations. It is I, it is you, it is us, it is we. Together we make up the digital family that is the Della Fit Podcast. I'm your host, Philly's #1 son, aka the body alchemist, SunMoon Bey, bringing you another podcast excursion. Welcome one and all to the 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health that is the Della Fit Podcast. We welcome you on this beautiful Friday. It is not going to be your typical podcast today. It is going to be a little bit more unique in its nature. Preferably because I'm excited to say that we are preparing for the 4th season of the Della Fit Podcast. Yes, you know how we roll when it comes to the platform that we hold here. And you know, if you know anything about me, I'm always trying to do things to up the ante and make things better. Shout out to all the listeners out there. I want to just say that I appreciate you all and immensely everything that you bring to the show. All of our supporters out there, all across the globe, all across the internet. Recently, what took place was that I went to our social media platforms. For anybody who is a new listener, you can find us on almost every platform that there is. Also, we are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. But I went out and I talked to our core listeners and I asked questions. I asked about what are the type of topics that you would like us to discuss on the Della Fit Podcast. What are the things that most interest you? And honestly, I got some awesome feedback. So much good feedback that I'm excited about what the new season of shows is going to be like. We are going to be tackling some huge topics. We're going to be bringing in some great guests that's going to be answering the questions that you want to know when it comes to your holistic fitness and health goals. It's just going to be awesome, you know, and I can't begin to tell you how excited I am, which is why this particular episode will not be as long. I'm just going to go over some things that we're going to be go over some new aspects of the program that'll be coming and talk a little bit about some things that are just going on with myself, going on with everything to try to always keep you all up to date. First things first, like I said, I want to send a shout out to some people. I've always like to try to remember that. I want to send a shout out to individuals out there who have supported the podcast, all of the guests who have been on the Della Fit Podcast, all of the wonderful professionals who are in the holistic health and fitness field or fitness and health field. We appreciate you greatly. Scott Stansfield, Jason Von Steets, Dane Darmio, there's so many people that have been on the show. I'm one of those individuals. I'll forget. So I'm just gonna encapsulate it all and say I thank you to all of our past guests who have come on to the show and discussed so many topics. Some highlights or some things I want to talk about are we're going to be making it a little bit more interesting for the listener out there. I like to keep things light, fresh, funny, as well as educational and inspirational. So for me, it's about making sure that you enjoy the process. Even when I'm training, whether it's I'm training a client or I'm just training myself, I like to have fun. You know, I'm a Cancer, and I don't like to do anything that's not fun. You know, I can remember when I was in school, you know, if it was math, if the teacher wasn't good at making it fun or catching my attention, it would go in one ear and out the other. So I don't want this podcast to be something that individuals don't enjoy. I want it to be something that you look forward to hearing every week. And we are in the process of doing that. I'm always sitting down with great people, talking, trying to find new ways, new initiatives, new possibilities to transform this platform into something beautiful. And I want to tell you something, or that should say that's a segue into a little bit about what's been going on with me. So I'm a big Kevin Hart fan. I'm a Kevin Hart fan, not just not particularly because of his comedy. I'm a big Kevin Hart fan, one, because he's from Philadelphia. He's from North Philadelphia, which is where I'm from. But also I'm big in his business. Kevin Hart is one of those few individuals that shares tips and secrets about business, social media, and basically how to make yourself a better business person. Some of the people I really follow be Will Smith, another Philadelphia person, Dame Dash, and many other business and self-help individuals, because I'm always trying to think about ways to make myself better. In my opinion, if you're not doing that, then you're wasting your time in life. You should always be trying to upgrade yourself, revamp yourself, audit yourself to make yourself better. And there's always something to work on. There's never ever anything that is not, there's never anything that just ends where it's just like, oh, I got it. It's cool, which takes me always to my main thought of the fact of perfection is not the state of error or errorlessness. It is the state of always constantly working on your errors, because that way you can grow. If you're not growing, then what are you doing? If nothing grows, then it's dead. So if perfection is without error, without learning, then you're dead. That is my whole synopsis that I live my life on when it comes to perfection. I believe we are totally capable of progress. Human beings are totally capable of 100% progress in the direction or any direction that they want to push themselves. So perfection is that. It is that constant sense of learning, constant sense of growing, constant sense of auditing one's actions to become better. And that is a state of perfection. So for me, I like to listen to individuals and take their advice and see how I can add it to my life, even when it comes to my training. So I have been listening to a lot of Kevin Hart's interviews, because taking all of the comical fluff and characterizations and cartooniness that he adds to some of his content, when you listen to him talking, when you listen to his whole mindset when it comes to business, when it comes to progression, he's more of a motivational person. He's more of a motivational speaker. So this is something that I truly, truly like to pay attention to. And I had the opportunity, I listened to his book. I listened to a lot of audiobooks. Just because of the fact you can take in so much more when it comes to an audiobook than you can with just regular reading, although I'm a big advocate of reading. So I was listening to his audiobook, and I was just saying to myself, taking some of the jewels in that he was dropping. And one of those jewels is the fact of, do not become satisfied with what you have accomplished. Do not become satisfied with what you have, not in the sense of being selfishness or ungrateful, but don't become complacent in something you've obtained, a level that you have reached, which is growth. It's really growth. So in listening to his audiobook and learning a lot of lessons, I kind of figured out that, it takes a lot to be successful. And one thing that stood out in my mind about what Kevin Hart was saying in his book was the fact of there is a level that you have to get past where it comes from the people who are most familiar with you. That could be family, friends, relationships. And once you resign yourself to become successful or become the person you want to be or take that journey, you have to learn to deal with the perception that your friends or family place on you. One thing he said was the fact of, when you're dealing with people who are used to you, they have a perception of who you are, and it makes them comfortable as to where you fit in their life. And for them, it's a state of, I'll use my own words. I think it's a state of unbeknownst selfishness, excuse me. Meaning that we all have friends, or many of us will have a friend that we share that idea or goal or dream with. And they say, are you serious? Do you really want to do that? Are you really think you can? It might not be exactly in that way, but we all have individuals that can kind of be the pessimists. Sometimes we have many people that are the pessimists in our group of friends. Now, the thing of it is that it's understanding, and Kevin Hart actually talked about this in his book. It's understanding where that's coming from, because when you're growing and you're moving, what takes place is that individuals get scared because we can become comfortable. We can become very comfortable in our lives, in the situations and statuses that we hold. And when an individual decides to move and make themselves grow, because that's what you're doing. You're forcing yourself to grow. You're forcing yourself to push ahead. You're forcing yourself to extend your mind when you go for your goals, because you're not necessarily, you don't always know what's out there. So you're reaching in the darkness for something. And when you're doing that, it can scare individuals, because if you reach that, what takes place to them? Where do they fit in your life? Where do you fit in their life? It also makes them ask the question of, well, what about the things I put on the back burner? You see what I'm saying? So it can become something scary to a lot of individuals when you start to reach for your own goals and your own dreams. Because individuals, as much as they talk about success, as much as they talk about reaching their goals, what takes place is the fact of, it's a earthquake or mental earthquake, in the sense of, oh wow, that is possible. And what have I been doing? Have I been settling? I'll give you an example. How many of you out there listening to this podcast are in a relationship, or have been in a relationship where you literally settled? You settled, whether it's a physical relationship, meaning it's just based on sex, whether it's convenience, whatever. How many of you have been in that type of relationship instead of reaching for something that could be so much more? I can tell you right now, I've been in that type of relationship. And it can be very easy to settle. It can be very easy to settle and sit into that groove, that mindset of, oh, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and not continue to grow. So, I continuously, to go back to what I'm talking about, I feel like Kevin Hart's book addresses a lot of that, in the sense of, he felt, or he grew up not expecting to really be much of anything. I mean, he was under the thumb of his mother because she didn't want him to grow up and be like his older brother, who had gotten into some trouble. She didn't want him to get into drugs like his father. And the truth of it is, she really wanted to keep him safe. And I think that in her trying to keep him safe, she hindered one process but ignited another part of him, which is the fact of, he just wanted to finished high school, which she talks about, and just get from underneath his mother's thumb. but he really had no other goals. And the way he was looked at by his friends and everybody else that knew him, even his family, is like literally he probably wouldn't be any more than just what he was. It was just this little guy who, you know, at that time was working at a shoe store, at a sneaker store. So, you know, I mean, it's a great book. I think anybody and everybody should pick it up if you get the chance. It's been out since I think 2017. I just started actually paying attention to it, but I really like a lot of the things that Kevin Hart talks about. I listen to again a lot of his interviews when he's getting into business, as well as, like I said, other individuals like Dame Dash. For anybody out there, you might not like Dame Dash, you might not know who Dame Dash is. Dame Dash, let me break that down very quickly, was one of the creators and founders of Rockefeller Records, which was one of the most successful record labels probably of the 2000 era. It was started with him, Jay-Z, and another partner, Kareem Biggs Burks, and it actually became one of the most successful record labels of that era. Dame Dash, known to be very much a assertive and outspoken individual, but listening to his concepts when it comes to being an independent in the business world, I'll tell you, take a chance, YouTube him, listen, don't get hooked in the actual personality of Dame Dash. Don't get hooked into the actual, the aura of how he is and who he is. Listen without fail to some of the information that he says when it comes to business and being an independent. I think anybody that's an entrepreneur, I think I pronounced that right. You all know how I mess up words. Anybody that's an entrepreneur can take something away from a lot of the things and a lot of his concepts when it comes to business and being an independent. So that's what I've been doing. I've been studying a lot about that and really focusing on those things where it comes to the podcast and just many other things. And it's of great value to me. And for me, I want this podcast to continue to grow so that everybody, I've said this before, can get something out of it. When I speak, I'm always talking about the village. Each one teach one. You know, the village, as everybody has always heard, I say it's at the end of all of the podcasts that we have. The village, we've always heard this. It takes a village to raise a child. Well, we are all somebody's child. If we're all somebody's child and it takes a village to raise a child, then we need to really start doing that. And we can do that by each one teach one. Each one guide, each one help, each one perpetuate growth, positive growth in another. We can do this. You know, humanity has a purpose. We are not lost as we would like to think. It has a purpose. So that's a little bit of some of the things we're getting into. Like I said, it's just been an interesting journey where it comes to myself and this podcast and just in general, because anytime you're reflecting on yourself as an individual and you're trying to grow, everything begins to grow. You know, so it's that connection. I've been paying attention to a lot of things out there in the business world, which I'm gonna we're gonna come back to. I'm gonna give you all a few minutes to get some break, you know, to hear a little bit about what's going on when I come back, you know, talk a little bit more. But again, you're with the De La Fit podcast. This is the intro to the 4th season that is to come. And you know, I always say, when you're here with us, you're home. So kick your feet up, grab a biscuit, and chill out. Hey, you, with the earbuds in their ear. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? When I was trying to get my podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. I like to upload my episodes directly to the app and then promote. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it. Go to anchor.fm/start to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
Della Fit Podcast is now available on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play Music.
You're now tuned in to the Della Fit Podcast.
So we're back, and I just wanted to take the time out to discuss some of the changes that's going to be taking place with the show, as well as to talk about this exciting time of being a content provider. I mean, we're in a state of awesomeness that has rarely been seen. I've been listening to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Like I said, I've been listening to Kevin Hart, Dame Dash. I've been listening to a lot of successful business individuals, doing a lot of research, reading, and paying attention. We live in this age of content. And let me tell you something. If you have a passion, if you have a purpose, this is a beautiful age because you can present your purpose to the world. You can give to the world something meaningful and still live your best life. That means you can actually live off of that. And that's an amazing thing to be given. I'm paying attention to what's taking place right now with the Disney stream. And I was talking to some friends of mine. We were just going over the fact that, content is at an all-time high. You have entities like Netflix, Hulu, that are looking for people who are creating awesome content. YouTube was first on it. They're looking for people to create awesome content. And I'm telling you, man, that's why for me, it's like, this is the time. This is why it's always, I feel every season when we're getting ready to go into a new season of the show, it's ante up time. Not even every season, every episode. For me, every episode must be better. Now, is it always better? No, because that's just the human part of it. But I tell you one thing, like I said before, that's the perfection that we have as human beings. For me, every show I look at and I'm like, okay, this can be better, this can be this can be this, we can do that. And then I'm constantly searching for those individuals who have the drive, the purpose, and the expertise to help me push that to the next level. And I want to say really quickly, I did this before, but I'm sending a shout out to Brittany Noel, because Brittany Noel is an excellent content provider. She's been on the show plenty of times. If you don't know who she is, please look her up. Brittany Noel is an awesome celebrity trainer. She's an awesome individual. She acts as also one of my mentors, and I'm telling you, she's doing some amazing things. And also, she's one of the nicest people, period, out there. She's just a whole beautiful hearted person. And, she helps me. She helps me to rethink, okay, what do you think needs to be added to the podcast? What do you think should be taken away? This is what you can do here. This is what you can do there. Those individuals that are trying to do their best, that are really listening, that are paying attention, you know what I mean? And this is, I'm always thankful to have those type of people around. So I'm just feeling awesome about that. And I want to really tell you all about the lineup of guests that's going to be coming up, but I don't want to let the cat out the bag. All I can tell you is you're going to have some of the creme de la creme on the podcast. You're going to be listening to some of the best experts when it comes to holistic fitness and health. that you have heard in a very long time. But I do want everybody out there to remember that it's not just a show that you're going to be listening to. I want you all to be a part of it. If you have the Anchor app, you can send messages to us. You can actually send messages to let us know what topics we want. My email is connected to my phone. Like my phone, I always get all my emails. So if you're interested, if you want to hear a topic talked about, if there's something dealing with health or I should say fitness and health that you're interested in having being answered, say it, email it. Always, we welcome your inner reaction, because this show is nothing without your participation, your subscribers, your help, everything. It's not just your standard fitness show. It's not just your standard health show. By no means. And we're going to be staying close to the topics that we always stay with, which is your physical health, your physical fitness, your mental health, your spiritual health, your financial health, every aspect of that. Sexual health. That's right. Come on. I know all y'all listening right out there. Y'all like getting it in. I like getting it in. I got a big smile on my face as I say that. So, this, in order to keep this family growing, definitely you are a part of this process. And I'm so excited about this. So that's why for me, I spend a lot of time researching and thinking about what can be done. How can things be better? I'm amped. It's just some of the things right now that's going on with the show. Like I said, we'll probably be adding some segments in to make it more interesting for all of you out there. We're gonna be, I know some people have asked for the dropping the jewels section. They haven't had a dropping the jewels section in a minute. We might bring that back. I don't know. We've been testing things out, but it's all a growing process with this podcast. It's totally a growing process. It's no different than going into the gym. And even for myself, some of the things I take myself through physically, I do them just for the purpose, not just for me, but also it's a teaching aid. Like this year, I should say early in the year, I did test on myself. I literally did only ate once a day. I did intermittent fasting and ate only one meal throughout the day, or had a certain time, more specifically a certain amount of time left for eating, to share. And I talked about this earlier in the year, my experience with this. But what I was doing was from 12 o'clock, I stopped eating. I wouldn't eat until 6 o'clock in the evening. I just did this for a month straight while doing a progressive bench press program, which was awesome. I had already been on the program for I think 2 months prior, and it was an awesome program that I got from UP Powerlifter. He's a great guy. If you haven't seen him, he's a 150 pound man who can bench press 450. He's awesome. And he's a great teacher. He's a great guy. If you find him online on social media, he's just one of the nicest individuals, and he's always there to help people. He's very busy, so you might not get a response right away, but I took his program and I tested it, and I was making gains and making progress. And I try to listen to my spirit. I try to listen to that voice inside. And the same way I became vegan, which I've told individuals prior, which literally I heard a voice about, it's probably going on 6 years ago now, that, it's like, you're going to go vegan. You're doing all this for your health. Go vegan. What could be better? What you got to lose? Try it. If it doesn't work, go back. And I said, okay, I'm going to try it. And let me tell you something. I love it. I love it. You know, I've been vegan for about 5 years now, and I love it. And I hear individuals talk about, oh, you know, vegans have this problem, the individuals have this problem. You know what? If you don't research, if you don't look into something, if you're not fully abreast of all the issues, if you don't understand that you have to eat a well-balanced, colorful diet, and when I say colorful, all the colors of the different fruits and vegetables make up nutrients. Our bodies need nutrients. If you're not getting those nutrients, not just protein, everybody's like protein. There's protein in everything. If you're not getting the right nutrients for your body, drinking a lot of water, because guess what? Guess how much of the body is water? I'm sorry. Pause. For everybody out there, I'm from Philadelphia. Yes, I know a lot of you probably like, what is water? Yes, we pronounce water with a D. Whatever. But anyway, for my friends out in New York who tease me about this, but water makes up a huge amount of your muscle. It affects everything. That's where you get that strength. All right. I think they did a study not too long ago. It's like you can be dehydrated, and I think it's like takes about 15% of your strength the more dehydrated you are and things like that. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Google it. See how much your strength decreases the less water you have in your system. You know, you have to constantly hydrate. Hydration is something that is paramount, which is something that I found out during this intermittent fast. It is paramount. You must drink water. And I'm gonna tell you something. So I'm gonna take you quickly through what I did. I drank water. I only had I took 1 cup of coffee, raw black coffee, in the morning, specifically 9:30. I studied the specific time that coffee was useful for the system. So this is how I would do. In the morning, I get up, I drink a lot of water. I make sure I was hydrated. For me, I made sure I was hydrated, and I have a feeling when I know I'm hydrated, I feel like my muscles are swelling. It's just something that I get within me. Like, I know when I'm hydrated. It's almost like the same swelling you get after a pump. So I know when I'm hydrated. It's different probably for everybody, but this is how I know I'm hydrated correctly. So then, you know, I make sure I have my constitutional, you know, go to the bathroom. And, you know, now I do my workout. But before I do my workout, I would have 1 cup of black coffee at 9:30. If it goes past that time, I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't drink it, because for me, it's a specific amount of time that I wanted the use of the caffeine and the use of the coffee to flow through me. And I didn't want it to go but so late, it's so long into the day. All right, it's a lot more into it, but for specifics of the conversation that you're listening to, I'll skip some of that. But it has to do to the fact of what coffee does after a certain period and how it works with your I think it's the adrenal glands. I could be incorrect, but basically how it works with your body after a certain point in time, whereas you're not getting the as much of the benefits, and it starts to become a detriment to your body. So 9:30 is specifically the time I would take it in. Now, I've eliminated, I've hydrated, you know, and I'm good to go. And then I would do my workout, do my bench workout, and I'm gonna tell you something. Some days were I was amped up and I was getting it, and some days were a little harder than others. Now, I also want to let you all know that these days I was doing this, I won't eat until 6 o'clock that evening, 5 or 6 o'clock. So, like I said, I eliminate, I hydrate, drink my 1 cup of coffee, work out, and then after that, I'm just stay hydrated. I might drink tea or something like that. Very low to no calorie, period. Just hydrate. Go home, eat. I would have a well-balanced diet, filled with colors. Like I said, the body knows what it needs. If you're not eating a well-balanced diet that has many different colors, and all those colors represent different nutrients, I always recommend to individuals, and I've spoken about this in different presentations that I've done, get a color wheel. Find the fruits, vegetables that match those colors. Learn what that chart, that color wheel, that chart, that nutritional chart means, and use it to help you have a balanced diet. Nothing that is done in life, nothing that is done in the world, nothing the Creator creates is an accident. Nothing. Many of us don't believe it because we are not following the guidelines to human development that were once followed. If you think about it, and I've spoken about this as well, human beings have downgraded or de-evolved. We've de-evolved to different levels. We have, if you really look at some of the skeletons of past human beings, and I know individuals get into primordial and Neanderthal. No. There are actual human beings. What is that? Homo sapiens skeletons, where they found that they are denser, larger, and they are just been studying them because they're like, wow, these human beings were very large, they're very strong. These bodies must have been incredibly strong and the bone density. Well, the thing of it is that, I'm not going to shy away from it and say that supermen and women, yes, walk this earth. We have de-evolved from that. And we've de-evolved based on our following of paths of individuals telling us, I am the representative on earth and I am over you. I am over you. You're under me. That's what de-evolves us. Not listening to our connection to the higher source. But I'm digressing. But anyway, like I said, I did this intermittent fast and training for a month. And I progressed from at the time when I started out, my max bench, I think, was 280 raw. And when I ended the program, my max bench, I got to 310 pounds. I had went down to, I believe, 160 pounds. So, like I said, I found out not only is it possible to gain strength while on intermittent fasting, also, I found out that you don't necessarily have to eat within the parameters that they have talked about. Where it comes, you have to eat directly after your workout. All to shit. That's a lie. So many lies and so many things out there. It's not to say that you can't do that. You can't, that's not going to help you right after you eat. But the thing of it is, you don't have to. You don't have to. And it was a freeing experience for me. It was freeing because of the fact of I learned more about myself. And I get to share that information with all of you listeners out there. We're going to take a quick break and come back and discuss more what's going on with myself, what's going to take place with the show. Stay tuned. You're with the Daily Fit Podcast.
It's time for another podcast excursion. Join us. We are the Della Fit Podcast.
360 degrees of holistic fitness and health all in one podcast. Welcome back to the Della Fit Podcast. Yes, so we're just talking about what season 4 will be like for us here. Just got finished talking a little bit about my experience with intermittent fasting and strength training, and how you can still develop strength while practicing intermittent fasting, as well as timely eating. all of that information, things that I've found out, things I've taken myself through, something I'm working on a couple of things that I will talk about later, but I don't want to give it away. I'm that type of person for everybody out there. I'm the type of person I like to experiment with myself, and I don't want to talk about it or let anybody know until it's completed. Because what takes place is that I've learned, and when you start to tell people about things you're working on, the next thing is they come back as, so what's going on with it? Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you know about this before you did that? You might want to watch out. People start to introduce their own input, or what they feel is input that you might need on the journey that you're taking. And there's nothing wrong with that, for people that are really genuinely trying to help. But sometimes what can take place is it can be outside irritation. And I'm not one for that. I like to focus on what I'm focusing on, stick to my plan, and go. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you develop a plan for yourself, the creator, I always say to everybody, that divine Wi-Fi, the first Wi-Fi that ever took place, that's your connection to the greater parent, our greater father, mother, spirit that created everything that ever was, is never more to be. We have a connection. We have to really work hard to redevelop that connection and really listen. And a lot of times when the plan is developed, when you hear this, all right, this is the goal, this is the dream, this is what I want to do, this is what you should do. What takes place is there's a plan behind it, whether we know it or not. There's a plan. So you have to listen closely, because it'll come to you. But because we have been taught to focus more on what outside is more tangible, like I'm looking at the chair in front of me. That's a chair. I can sit in it. It's tangible. We've been taught to focus on that instead of what's inside, which is the thought in my head that, oh man, there's a better chair. There's something I can create that floats in the air, that's more ergonomic to the body, and it'll help the body, and we won't have the pains and things that we have when we sit in chairs for hours doing work. You see, as I'm telling you this, you're like, whoa, that sounds dope. Some of y'all like, that sounds like bullshit. But the thing of it is that if it's in the head, there's a plan, there's some way it can come out. And we've been taught to believe only in what is conventionally in front of us. That's not the way. That's not the way I believe, at least. Hey, but there's some other things I'm going to be working on, some other experiences that I'm undertaking that I will be sharing with many of you all out there, which is going to help this show develop more. Like I said, the new guests that will be coming are some of the most experienced and influential, as well as experts in their field and passionate about their purpose. And I'm excited, and I hope you're excited, because for me, every time I get to listen to an individual who has purpose in their heart, it teaches me. And it gives me more fuel. It gives me more knowledge to continue to educate myself and get better and better and better. So that's why I'm excited for this next season to come about, and really pushing for the best. So those are some of the things that have taken place with that. Also, we're going to have a few of our former guests back on. I have been listening to the individuals out there who have definitely been saying, when are you going to have somebody that's going to come on and talk about depression? When are you going to have somebody on who's going to talk about how I can clear my credit up? When are you going to have somebody on who's going to talk about some of these other important things that I'm dealing with? Guess what? I heard you. I hear you, and I'm listening. We're going to do it. It's coming. In fact, they're here. The episodes are here. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so much fun this next season that's coming up. So I encourage everybody out there to share, listen, stay tuned. I thank all of you out there who have helped us to develop to the level that we're developing to. I thank all of you out there who are continuing to championship the podcast. I thank all of you all who have stayed tuned to my voice when I'm stuttering, fluttering, and flipping around, but understand that this is an individual that is filled with purpose and with passion, and he's speaking genuinely. When I talk to you, I'm literally talking to you out there. I'm talking to all of you, all of the listeners out there as a friend, as somebody who is experiencing, living, and trying his hardest. We will, like I said, we will have relationship counselors come on to the show and discuss things. This is something I'm looking forward to, because I'm gonna tell you something. That is one of the more difficult parts of my life. I've discussed a little bit about it, but at the same time, it's difficult. There are some hurtful feelings there where it comes to relationships. So I've had many individuals be like, listen, I need somebody that can tell me about relationships and, just how to interact with the opposite gender, or how to interact with people in general, no matter what your feelings may be, or what your orientation or whatever. Some people just don't know how to interact with people, period. So we're going to be having some interesting conversations, some good conversations, some construction. That is not the word I'm looking for. Some constructive conversation coming soon in the De La Fit podcast. So without that, I hope you all don't. I'm sitting in my little studio here, and the friendly neighborhood police people, Philly's finest, are driving by with the sirens going. I hope you all can't hear that. But like I said, I can't wait for this new season, which is coming up. It start next week, which the date of that, don't have it. I should have my cell phone out, guys. You know what? That's another thing I'm going to be working on, to be more prepared with my information. I don't always like to take my cell phone out, because I'm kind of old school, meaning that I used to work in a recording studio long ago, like in another life, and we were always taught you keep your cell phones tucked off and turned off, because they interfere with the recording. I'm laughing because you know what? How things have changed with technology. But you would pick up like a sound or feedback if a person was calling you and they were in a recording studio. Well, things have changed so much, but I haven't made the upgrade in my own psyche. And what takes place is I tend to keep my phone tucked away or turned off and things like that. But starting on May the 10th, season 4 of the De La Fit podcast will be in effect. Wow, that is so old school. Did I just say in effect? Wow, you are really a 90s guy, son. I can just hear all my friends and people who are listening right now like, look at this old guy. He said in effect. All of you millennials, don't make fun of you. Don't make fun of me. Like, I'm sorry. This will be you one day. All of you millennials who walk around talking about getting lit. One day you're going to say that, and whatever the next group of individuals coming behind you, they're going to look at you with that look of, you're old. Oh yeah, you're old. You're old. And by that time, I'll be an even older individual. I'll be like what one of my teens called me. You'll be like, you'll be ancient. You will be ancient. You're already almost old now, but you will be ancient. You might even just be dirt. We're gonna just say you're dirt. That's the kind of stuff that they would say to me. That's actually what a teenager did tell me. So I'm looking forward to this new season, new guests, new points of view, new segments, all types of excitement. And I'm encouraging everybody to stay tuned to that. As always, as we get ready to end this episode of the De La Fit podcast, this final episode of this season 3. Thank you so much. Remember the village. We are all somebody's child, and it takes a village to raise a child. That's why we each must decide to teach one another so that we can be better. We can grow and make good decisions. We can help guide each other to be what we can be. Also, please don't ever think that you can't contact us. You can hit us up at daylifefit13@gmail.com. You can also go to www.daylifefitpodcast.com and also contact us there. You can also reach us at Instagram you can reach us at Instagram, which would be day_lie_fit podcast. Also, you can also reach us on Facebook at Day Life Fit Podcast. So please don't be a stranger. Hit us up, talk to us, and always remember, love yourself. If you love yourself, you will love others, because that's what love is all about. And love never hurts anybody. It's always about growing. It's always about extending. Love helps. Love does not hurt. Love does not destroy. You grow when you love. You destroy when you hate. With that being said, continue to love each one of each other and love yourselves. Peace.
You've been listening to the Delafit podcast. Ta-ta for now.